Hello there everybody, it is me XfreezerBunny, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build, and welcome back to yet another Japanese inspired speed build. So today we are building my second Japanese temple build. The first one I built a couple of months ago. I think it was 6 months ago actually. This time, however, I am using CC. I am mostly using Felix Sander's Kyoto set, which was actually released for the past couple of months, but he only finished the set this month, which made me so excited. I've been planning to do builds featuring the set since he first released them last June, but I was way too busy. There was way too much stuff going on for me, so I was only really able to properly check out the set this weekend, and this build pretty much came out as a happy accident, to be honest, because basically I really wasn't planning on building another Japanese temple build. However, I was checking out the set and all of the new items, and luckily I had my video recorder on. Usually I have my video recorder on whenever I'm checking out new CC, new items, because who knows, you know, maybe I can make a video out of it or whatever. And basically that's the reason why this build happened. It was a happy accident, and I am so glad that I kept my video recorder running, because if it wasn't for that, this build probably wouldn't have seen the light of day. So basically, this is kind of like a more authentic, realistic version of a Japanese temple. It's not unlike my first build, but this time I just went ham on the realism, partly thanks to the CC and also partly thanks to more research done as I'm working on my Redesign New Crest series. By the way, speaking of Redesign New Crest, no, this build isn't part of Redesign New Crest. This is more of like a standalone build to showcase the Felix Sander CC. Also, don't worry, I'm not going to use CC for my Redesign New Crest. As I said, when I first started doing that series, I was never planning on using CC, so I'm going to keep it expansion game pack and stuff pack only. But you know what, I definitely just indulged myself for this build. You know, my inner, architectural history fanboy was freaking out as I was seeing this build unfold because of just how realistic it was. Definitely not something I could achieve without the use of CC, so I'm really thankful to Felix for actually creating this Japanese set. It's absolutely stunning, and I highly recommend it. Personally, if you can only afford one set, I would definitely go for the June set, which is where most of the build items came from, because I don't know, I just love the build items. Like, these are things that you can never really replicate whatever you do in The Sims 4. So we have these beautiful upturned roofs, very typical of East Asian architecture, and also a lot of the doors and windows as well. The only items that I used a lot in this build that wasn't from the June set were actually these brackets that I'm using for these support systems, I guess, structural pieces for this build. Like I said, I just let myself go, basically. And it was so satisfying to actually see, this creation be a more accurate version of a Japanese temple. So anyway, I feel like this is more of a Buddhist temple in Japan. It has many of the elements of Buddhist architecture, such as the pagoda and the Neomon gate. One very easy thing to differentiate Buddhist temples from Shinto shrines is the presence of a pagoda for Buddhist temples, because typically pagodas are used to keep reliquaries of the Buddha, but I do believe that some shrines have pagodas because over the centuries some temples or shrines have changed their function basically, so it's not like a definite identification aspect, I guess, but I think it's a good indication of whether a structure is a Buddhist or a Shinto shrine, I guess. Once again, I'm getting caught up in my own geekiness, but I don't know, this is more of a build for those of you who really enjoy this kind of content for me. You know, once in a while I do like to just, you know, be my architectural history fanboy for you guys, and I know that a lot of you also enjoy that as well, so hopefully you also enjoy this build. If you're into that sort of stuff, please keep watching. I definitely have another build planned to showcase the rest of Felix's CC, because there's some pretty awesome interior items as well, so I think you guys can already tell what I'm going to be doing. It's another structure that I've already done for my Redesign Newcrest build, so please keep an eye out for that as well. We are actually building this on a very interesting size lot. This one is on a 20 by 40, which is actually very unusual. I don't think there's another lot like this in game. I might be wrong, but I don't know. I just found this lot very interesting. I knew that I wanted to have a pagoda and an elaborate gateway, so I definitely needed to have a longer lot. Also, this build contains a very special item, which I will talk a little bit more later on when we actually get to it. The CC I'm using in this is mostly from Felixander, but I did use one item from another person. It's actually a functional wishing well, which was a conversion from a Sims 2 item that came with Bon Voyage, but they gave it the animations from the wishing well that came with Romantic Garden. So I'm glad I actually found that item, because I was worried at first about this lot and how functional it'll be, because just like my first pagoda build, I think this is more of like a decoration. I guess there's really no, you know, lot type that would really work for these kind of temple builds other than maybe a museum or like a generic lot type. I mean, maybe you can make it a wedding venue if you really want to, but you know, I also thought about creating my own CC, because I actually really wanted to convert that little object from The Sims 2 actually, and then I discovered that somebody already did it, so they saved me the effort for doing that, so thank you. All of the CC I used will be linked down in the description, by the way, so no worries. The Patreon sets, I will link Felix's Patreon site. Obviously, you will have to be a patron of him if you want the CC, but honestly, believe me when I say it's worth it. But the wishing well is a free item actually, so no worries about that. And overall, I was just so pleased with how this build came together. I would definitely have to say that the process of doing this was a lot more enjoyable and satisfying, because I kind of just let myself get lost in the CC, which is an experience that I never thought I would ever have in The Sims 4. Because I did this a lot in The Sims 2 and in The Sims 3, where I just really got lost in building, and it's such an amazing feeling that I never thought I would ever feel in The Sims 4. So yeah, here you can see me do this enclosure for this temple basically. If you saw the first couple of minutes of this video, you would see that I actually started off building this temple in the lot next to my Japanese temple build for Newcrest, and if you look closely, if you pay attention, you might have seen some updates I did on the temple, because obviously the Newcrest series is a work in progress, which I definitely am still working on, even though I'm not making videos on them now. But this is one of those little updates that I did for the temple. I did a similar kind of setup for the enclosure basically, where I'm using these stilted foundations as kind of like corridors, and I think they look a lot more accurate actually. I put those little fence pieces from Debug in the basement to make this feel, you know, more enclosed basically, because that's the point of an enclosure, right? So like I said earlier, this is more of a Buddhist temple. It doesn't have like a main hall, to be honest. There's really not much of an interior for this build anyway. I would say the focal point of this build is really this pagoda, which is such a stunning structure. It's a 3-story pagoda. A lot of people did tell me that, you know, I should have gone for like an odd numbered pagoda in my Newcrest build one, because I ended up building it in 4 stories, but like I said, I wanted it to be as high as possible because I wanted to be a landmark, you know. This time, however, I was going for something that was more accurate. There's really nothing inside of this pagoda though, so, you know, I don't know what you can put in here, to be honest. I guess it's just a nice place if you want to go for sightseeing. Oh, there goes that Lucky Shrine. I finally remembered what it's called. Is it called the Lucky Shrine in The Sims 2? By the way, if you don't recognize that item, it's actually from, what was the name of the Sims 2 Japanese inspired world? Takemizu Village. Yeah, that's one from Takemizu Village. And yeah, I just made this kind of like outdoor gazebo area to have that shrine in. It's really cute. It's also functional, so your Sims can come here and make wishes, whatever they want. If they want wealth, you know, if they want a baby, they can wish for that, believe it or not. Also here, I'm making this combination of one of the plants from base game and this hedge thing from Debug. It's one from Get to Work. And yeah, I just combined those items to make it look a little bit more Asian, I guess. I'm really happy with how that tree came together, especially since there's really not much landscaping here. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, we're back to the old style of commentary. I should have talked about this a little bit earlier on, but in my past couple of videos, I did try to experiment with my commentary, and I was planning to get your feedback at some point after I'd done a couple of videos, and unsurprisingly, most of you actually preferred the old style of commentary, which is basically just a long ramble. And I guess that doesn't really surprise me, because I guess most of you are here because you like the way I did things, so yes. Anyway, thank you for the feedback. Another thing that I want your guys' feedback on is actually the name of the redesigned Newcrest project, because until now I still haven't decided. I did have one name in mind. I like the name of Asakura Village. That sounds very Japanese to me, and I think it fits with, you know, the vibe I would like for that save file, so please let me know what you think about it. Oh, also, I put in this Japanese food stall. To be honest, I find it a little bit weird to have one inside of a Japanese temple, but you know, I just wanted to make this place a little bit more functional. That's why I put that food stall in there. And here, I'm putting a table with offerings. I haven't been to Japan, but I have been to some other East Asian countries, and whenever I went to these Buddhist temples, they would always have these little offerings on tables and stuff near the entrance of the temple, so I just replicated that effect. But I think that's actually going to be it for this build. So this one's pretty quick, mostly exterior, but once again, for those of you who are really into architectural history and travel and CC, I guess, hopefully this was a fun build to watch. So yeah, I think that's going to be it. I'm gonna go now. Thank you so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.